sir.
Good morning.
Let's continue from the same point where we were. So, because the GM was negative, hence the vessel went to an angle of Loll. Now, having come to an angle of Loll, we have to take the remedial action. So, the first action that what you will take is you have to press up all slack tanks. You have to press up all the slack tanks, one tank at a time. One tank at a time. You do one at a time. You will press up all the slack tanks to remove FSC. To remove the FSC. So you have to make all the tanks into fully filled tanks.
सर वन टैंक एट अ टाइम मतलब
One tank at a
सारे
time
बाकी के करेंगे तो जी जल्दी राइज करेगा.
नहीं, अगर आपके 5 टैंक स्लैक हैं तो आप पांचों को एक साथ नहीं बैलेस्टिंग करोगे, आप एक एक करके करोगे
ताकि जल्दी से जल्दी हो जाए सर.
नहीं, ताकि धीरे धीरे हो. Your purpose is not to speed it up. Your purpose is to slow it down. Your purpose is to remove the FSC, but it should be done in a slow manner.
Okay.
So you press up all the slack tanks, one tank at a time, and the aim is to remove the FSC. Now, next thing what you'll do is ballast all centerline tanks. If you have any centerline tanks, you will ballast them. Again, you're doing all operations are one tank at a time only. But you'll be ballasting the centerline tanks. The aim of this ballasting the centerline tanks is, the aim of doing this is, firstly, your displacement will increase. And if your displacement increases, your Km will increase. The kg will go down. And therefore, the GM will have a tendency to go positive. The GM will have a tendency to go positive. And therefore, a positive righting lever is created. And because a positive righting lever is created, this will lead to a reduced angle of Loll. This will lead to a reduced angle of Loll. So your angle of Loll will be reduced. So all this will happen.
ये जो प्रेसअप करेंगे हम ऑल बैलेस्ट टैंक, ये भी कह सकते हैं कि सर व्हाइल प्रेसिंग अप वी कैन प्रेस अप फर्स्ट द सेंटर लाइन टैंक जो भी नियर बाय है उसके, then you press up on the side tanks.
Yeah, you'll be pressing up the side tanks also. You'll be pressing up the lower side first. You'll ballast all the centerline tanks. Once you've done this, Next, you will ballast lower side lower I, lower moment of inertia, lower side lower I tank. Next, lower side मतलब starboard side, lower I मतलब a tank which has lower breadth. So generally the water plane look of a vessel is something like this. Generally. And if I were to segregate the DBs of a generic ship, then this is one port, this is one starboard, 2 port, 2 starboard, 3 port, 3 starboard, 4 port, 4 starboard, and 5 port, 5 starboard. Then, because the shape of the ship is like this, the ship with the lower I, lower moment of inertia means lower breadth. So we are talking about DB1 starboard. That is DBT 1 starboard will be the tank, which will have a lower I because a lower breadth. I is directly proportional, LB cube, so it's directly proportional to breadth. That's why. So you will ballast lower side, lower I tank next. Once you've done that, you will ballast the pair tank. You will ballast the pair tank, that is DBT 1 port. Now you need to equate it
Sir,
because
list
starboard
तो
में
already
आपने weight
starboard
ज़्यादा डाल
में
दिया है.
पहले 1 port नहीं करेंगे?
नहीं. You will ballast the lower side, lower I tank. That is DBT 1 starboard. Once you have done that, then you will ballast 1 port. And once you've done that, continue.
Sir, what is the reason for that, sir?
I'll just come to that.
Why only starboard
I'll
side
just come-
first, sir?
I'll just come to that. Continue with the next set of tanks. Continue with the next set of tanks. Continue with the next set of tanks till vessel becomes upright. Till vessel becomes upright. So then you'll do 2 starboard, then 2 port, then 3 starboard, 3 port, and so on and so forth. We'll continue till vessel becomes upright.
Sir, ये point number
Why-
9 and 10, can you repeat, sir? I can't read that.
You can't read. Ballast lower side, lower I tank next. Ballast lower side, lower I. I is moment of inertia. Tank next. That is DBT 1 starboard. Point number 10. Ballast pair tank DBT 1 port. Point number 11. Continue with the next set of tanks till vessel becomes upright. Till vessel becomes upright. Okay. Now we come to the moot question, and which is very often asked. Why lower side, lower I tank first? Why not higher side, lower I? Question. वाई
उससे केजी पे इफेक्ट आ जाएगा सर।
जी नीचे ही रहेगा, नहीं तो जी ऊपर मूव हो जाएगा।
ये ना बहुत लोग यही कहते हैं, बट एक्चुअली ये रीजन नहीं है। वाई
ड्यू टू द मोमेंट एंगल ऑफ लॉल पॉट साइड वाला चला जाएगा।
वाई लोअर साइड लोअर आई टैंक फर्स्ट आंसर। सो बेसिकली व्हेन मैं जब वन स्टारबोर्ड को बैलेंस करूंगा तो दो चीजें हो रही हैं, ठीक है। एक तो मैं वेट ऐड कर रहा हूं, ठीक है। तो बिकॉज मैं वेट ऐड कर रहा हूं तो मेरे स्टारबोर्ड लिस्ट होगा। एग्रीड?
यस।
So listing moment to starboard is created. So this listing moment to starboard is what? W into D. Small w is the weight that I'm adding. D is the distance from center line. This listing moment to starboard is taking me away from upright. So this listing moment is a negative listing moment. Agreed? ये मेरे को अपराइट से दूर लेके जा रहा है और लेके जाएगा इधर को, तो ये नेगेटिव होगा। ये अपराइट है, अपराइट की तरफ इज पॉजिटिव, अवे फ्रॉम अपराइट इज नेगेटिव। ठीक है, इज दैट ओके?
यस
Are
सर।
you with me? Okay. Simultaneously, because मैं वेट ऐड कर रहा हूं जहाज पे, तो पॉइंट नंबर 8 के जो सारे रीजंस हैं ये भी हो रहे हैं साइमल्टेनियसली। All these reasons, W is increasing, Km is going up, Kg is going down, Gm is tending to go positive. Positive writing lever is created. Because of this positive writing lever, positive writing moment is created. Are you with me on this? Because of reasons in point number 8. A positive writing moment is also created. This positive writing moment is what? W into GZ, where W is the displacement of the vessel, GZ is the writing lever of the vessel. Agreed? This W is my displacement, 1 lakh, 50,000, whatever. 50,000 multiplied by a small value is over here. Over here, this is small w, 500 tons multiplied by 10 meters, 5,000. This is a huge figure. This is a very small figure. So, positive writing moment is far, far greater than the negative listing moment. Do you agree on this statement? Is this okay with everyone? ये जो क्वांटम है पॉजिटिव राइटिंग मोमेंट का, ये
पॉजिटिव राइटिंग मोमेंट बता देंगे प्लीज?
ये 1 लाख टन है मेरा जहाज, 1 लाख मल्टीप्लाइड बाय सम वैल्यू, This will be in some multiples of 10,000s. This fellow, on the other hand, is going to be 500 tons multiplied by 10 meters, 20 meters, whatever. It's going to be a very small value. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
So therefore, net result is a reduced positive writing moment. That is going to be the net effect of it. The difference of the two fellows will be a reduced positive writing moment. Agreed?
Yes, sir.
This will result in a reduced angle of Loll. This will result in a reduced angle of Loll, which is what I want. Had I ballasted higher side tank first, my listing moment would have been positive. Positive listing moment, positive writing moment means a increased writing moment. So my vessel would have gone onto the port side. And in this process, it is going to be seeking the angle of Loll onto the port side this time. She will gain momentum. And while she is gathering momentum, if the momentum carries her beyond the angle of Loll, it might turn into a capsizing moment. And once it turns into a capsizing moment, the vessel might collapse onto the other side. That is the reason why we don't ballast higher side, lower eye tank first. Is that okay with everyone? ये समझ में आया?
एक बार रिपीट कर सकते
अगर मैं वन पोर्ट को बैलेस्ट कर दूं, तो my listing moment is going to be positive. So positive listing moment and a positive writing moment will result in a higher value of positive writing moment net result. That means my vessel will now go to angle of Loll on the port side. In the process, she might turn into a capsizing moment. Therefore, topple over onto the opposite side. That is the reason why we take the ballast onto the lower side first, so that the reduced angle of Loll is created. Once you have reduced the angle of Loll, then you are reducing the probability of a capsizing. That's what you're doing. ये समझ में आ गई?
सर अगर उस टाइम पर अगर स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड अगर चल रही हो, तो स्ट्रॉन्ग विंड के कारण अगर अपन चले गए अदर साइड, तो
Wind doesn't push you. Wind is not this thing. Wind is not the criterion. Is not a factor here. So you would have stopped your operations, that you would have taken the shelter. You would have taken whatever shelter you want.
Okay.
एक वो शुरू में एक पॉइंट जरूर लिखना पड़ेगा, वो मैं बताना भूल गया. स्टॉप ऑल ऑपरेशंस. वो एक पॉइंट लिखना भूल गया मैं. स्टॉप ऑल ऑपरेशंस. The moment you have gone to a list, you have to stop your vessel and you have to stop the operations of the vessel. That means if you are at sea, you will stop your engines. So you will take a shelter or etc. and then you will stop.
सर पहला ही पॉइंट डाल देंगे फिर.
हाँ, just do that. मैं वो भूल गया डालना. Stop all operations. You have to stop everything because there is something wrong that you are doing. So you need to stop it. वो एक्चुअली पॉइंट नंबर 1 बन जाएगा.
Take shelter and stop everything.
करेक्ट. This is the technical difference between the two. This is the technical reason why we don't do that. ओके. अभी लास्ट पॉइंट क्या लिखा था हमने? What was the number? What was the last point number?
11.
11. So point number 12 now. Point number 12. If vessel still not upright, supposing 99% of the times when you carry this thing out, whatever you have just done, जैसे ही आप करोगे तो ballasting, the vessel will become upright. 99% of the time, your vessel is going to an angle of Loll because of the free surface. But it's a 1% chance, supposing vessel is still not upright. Then consider jettisoning of cargo. You have to consider jettisoning of cargo. Okay? You will calculate the amount of cargo to jettison. Okay? Here, jettisoning cargo में हम assume करते हैं you are a log carrier, you are a timber carrier. So it's an assumption that you are a log carrier. All right? And let us say you have to jettison 10 number of logs. Okay? You have to jettison 10 logs. So now jettisoning of the cargo will take place from the higher side. Jettisoning of cargo will happen from the higher side, so that the G will move towards the opposite side, that is the lower side. So generally, what is done is, this is done by slackening the lashings. This is done by slackening the lashings and using of chain blocks, crowbars, wire slings, chain blocks, crowbars, wire slings, and snatch blocks. And generally, basically what you do is you identify the logs and then you give a nudge to it. So when one log slides out, another log or two other logs will also slide out along with it. So they just slide off the ship. And you do not use the ship's gear for it. Do not use ship's crane or derricks. You do not use the ship's cranes. Because if you use the ship's crane, then the G will go off to the point when it's slung. So we do not do that. You just slide it off. And slide off the exact number of logs till vessel becomes upright. Till vessel becomes till the vessel becomes upright. So that's what you do. You just slide it off.
सर ये 14 नंबर पे क्या लिखा है 14?
This is for jettisoning of cargo. It is assumed that your vessel is a log carrier. So jettisoning is done. Let's say 10 number of logs have been calculated to be jettisoned. So jettisoning of the cargo will happen from the higher side. You'll be jettisoning the cargo from the higher side so that the G of the ship will move on the opposite side. That means the kg will go down. And this is done by slackening the lashings using chain blocks, crowbars, wire slings, snatch blocks, etc. That kind of thing. We do not use the ship's cranes. Slide off the exact number of logs till vessel becomes upright. Some of the ships, some of the vessels which go to Angle of Loll are, we've just discussed, log carriers, container vessels, some LNG vessels have also been found to go to an Angle of Loll. There have been some cases of LNG vessels. Suezmax tankers have also been found to go to an Angle of Loll. Passenger vessels, they go to an Angle of Loll.
So sometimes it also depends upon the construction of the tanks inside.
Correct.
Tankers also, no?
Correct. So on tankers, basically the Suezmax tankers, you
सर
have
एग्जांपल
this as
लिखा है
a
आपने
हाँ जी
लास्ट पॉइंट
क्या हुआ?
सर लास्ट पॉइंट में सर
Vessels which go
एग्जांपल
to an
लिखा है
Angle
कि
of
these
Loll
are
are
the
log
vessel
carrier,
will
पैसेंजर वेसल
which will go to an log carrier, container vessels, LNG, tankers, some specific tankers, Suezmax, and passenger vessels. So these Suezmax tankers, this is the cargo oil tank. This is the water ballast tank. The centerline bulkhead in the DB, in some of these Suezmaxes, they were not complete. They were partial. So when these vessels came for loading and the cargo oil tank was slack, and simultaneously the deballasting was happening. So when the water came to this level, the full breadth of the vessel was exposed, LB cube by 12. So the free surface immediately shot up. And these vessels, while alongside, they went to an angle of Loll, Jettison parted, lots of damage occurred. So only experienced mates were then sent to these vessels. You couldn't, because the mates would open up for deballasting all the tanks simultaneously. That was a mistake. So you had to have specific sequence of deballasting. The tank in which you are loading, you will not do the deballasting of that tank. And you will do only pair tanks at a time, deballasting. You can't open up all the tanks. And in the next dry dock, what they did was, ये centerline bulkhead को पूरा complete weld कर दिया गया. So what was initially called as a U-tube effect was made into a J-tube. So U-tube converted into a J-tube. But I believe there are still some ships, Suezmaxes, which are still sailing with this bulkhead as partial. So once you become a mate, you go on a...
Yes, sir. Some tankers have this U-shaped ballast tank.
Still there. So when you go as a mate on these vessels, then you have to be very, very careful that you don't open up all the... there is a particular sequence to follow.
इन शिप से एडवांटेज मतलब कंस्ट्रक्शन वैसे एडवांटेज है यू टाइप में
एडवांटेज क्या है भैया स्टील बचा रहे हो तुम पैसा बचा रहे हो
कमर्शियल है जस्ट पंप्स वो सब बच गए
you are saving steel ना saving the cost
बट लिस्ट करेक्शन से मतलब कैसे करेंगे सर ये यू शेप से
लिस्ट करेक्शन की बात नहीं हो रही है एंगल ऑफ लॉल की बात हो रही है भाई try to understand we're talking about angle of Loll. So we are talking about right now that the kg when you are loading and you are deballasting, you have to ensure that there is sufficient weight on the vessel, there is sufficient cargo before you start carrying out the deballasting. So your kg is sufficiently lowered. So your GM is sufficiently high. It should be greater than the free surface effect because GM solid minus FSC will give me GM fluid. Please remember that. So I have to ensure that this GM solid is all the time higher than the FSC. So long as this is greater than this will be positive. So because I know that जब मेरा ballast इधर आएगा during this period till here इस दौरान और ये तो मेरा slack है ही है cargo oil तो मेरी free surface double हो जाती है LB cube breadth cube so if I am loading in number 2 then I would be deballasting number 4 at that time, not deballasting number 2 at the same time. So
by loading the tank only first, sir, we are reducing the FSC.
correct,
We can take the ballast later on.
correct.
Reduce it.
So these ships were very prone. And बड़े issues होते थे इन पे. 90s में तो बहुत एक्सीडेंट्स हुए. And अभी भी चल रहे हैं. अभी भी मतलब there are ships, but अब now people have become aware of it. And these Suez Maxes में तो you have to be very very cautious as a mate. तो इसलिए बड़े experienced mates को ही भेजते हैं इन जहाज़ों पे. Then a couple of years ago LNG में हुआ एक accident alongside same free surface. उसने भी सारे खोल दिए थे mate ने. All Indians on board. It was a massive accident which happened. Jettison had parted alongside. मेट ने सारे खोल दिए थे लोडिंग के टाइम पे सारे टैंक्स तो फ्री सरफेस हो गया था. So these ships are also prone. LNG. Passenger vessel. Passenger vessel. All the passengers want to go on the sun deck on top. धूप देखने जाना चाहते हैं. So everybody moves on top. KG shifts. What do you do? So what is done on these passenger ships? Any idea? क्योंकि पैसेंजर तो जाएगा धूप सेकने.
सबको नीचे बुला लेंगे.
सर इंडियन के नीचे ऑफर चल रहा है खाने का फ्री.
1+1 बोगो
ऑफर इंडियंस के लिए.
बोगो ऑफर. So on these ships you have something called as access control. Access control means lower deck guys can only go one deck up. Top deck people can go down, but lower deck people can only go one deck up. So access control. So there is a control on access. You can't just go anywhere you feel like. So passenger ships have that access control. Same story goes when the passenger vessel is coming alongside jetty. बोट आ रहा है तो सारे के सारे बंदे जो हैं वो जिस साइड पे जेटी होगी वहीं पे चले जाएंगे. जहाज लिस्ट हो जाएगा. कार्गो शिफ्ट. So how do you control that? You have port to starboard access control also. So port side people will remain on port side, starboard side will remain on starboard side. You can't have that. नहीं तो जहाज लिस्ट कर जाएगा. And that is one of the reasons why जब ये passenger ships आते हैं जेटी में तो you will notice करना कभी जब देखोगे ये passenger ship हमेशा perpendicular to the jetty आएगा, कभी parallel नहीं आएगा. They'll always approach the jetty perpendicular. क्यों? Because of this reason. Because अगर ये parallel चला गया सारे के सारे passenger इधर भागेंगे starboard side पे.
संपर्क हो जाएंगे पैसेंजर्स को भी.
So that's the reason. So that's the reason why they always come perpendicular. Hamesha. And then of course they use their bow thrusters and all that. That is a separate issue. There was one ferry disaster which took place. South Korean ferry. Go to Google and type Suol. South Korean ferry थी. Google में इसकी पूरी स्टोरी है. Read about it. Very very interesting. Suol ferry disaster. South Korean. Just type South Korean ferry disaster. Suol. So what had happened was there was this ferry in South Korea, and she had taken school kids, okay, some 600, 700 or 500 school kids out on a ferry ride in the waters. And वही हुआ, ये सारे के बच्चे एक ही साइड पे आ गए, and the ferry capsized in mid-ocean, and all the 500 kids died. It became a national mourning in South Korea. The Prime Minister at that time had to resign. It was a massive event which took place. जरा उसके बारे में पढ़ना Google में. Read about it. It's a मतलब आई ओपनर है वो, उसमें सारा ये सारी राम कहानी है. It's a massive story on this. ठीक है.
So some of the Korean-built tankers, they still have this U-shaped tanks.
ये साउथ कोरियन का ही प्रॉब्लम था सारा ये सारी प्रॉब्लम वहीं से आई थी.
Especially product tankers.
Especially this thing, product tankers. बड़ा इशू इनका हुआ था इन लोग, because they wanted to cut costs ना, they wanted to reduce the displacement and save on steel. तो इन लोगों ने वो डबल मारा ही नहीं, कईयों में तो था ही नहीं किसी टैंक में शुरू, मतलब इमेजिन नो सेंटर लाइन बल्कहेड ओनली.
है नहीं सर, मैंने एक पे सेल किया सर, नंबर 2 और नंबर 1 वाज यू शेप्ड, द ballast tank.
बिल्कुल. So those tanks जब बैलेस्टिंग करोगे वो लास्ट में करते हैं, शुरू में नहीं करते. You will ballast when you have sufficient displacement on board. So in your sequence of ballasting वो आखिरी में आएगा. So that you have sufficient displacement.
And deballasting also.
Yeah, deballasting also. So you have to be very careful. जिस टैंक उसी टैंक में जब करोगे तो उसके वो वाले पेड टैंक जो हैं उसमें नहीं करोगे बैलेस्टिंग एंड डीबैलेस्टिंग, साथ नहीं करोगे.
साथ नहीं सर, डीबैलास्टिंग उसकी पहले तो कर सकते हैं सर, जब वो फुली भरा हुआ है उसका कार्गो. हाँ एडजेसेंट. ठीक है.
But you have to follow the sequence. That is very important on those vessels. Not that usual वाला ना कि सारे खोल दो. We sometimes you've done that ना in this thing. I've also done it. कई बार प्रेशर में आके under commercial pressure or whatever you do ना कि अरे खोल दे यार, चलो खोल दो, देखी जाएगी. So you do that thing. So sometimes you do that. But you have to be very careful and you have to understand the pros and cons.
So this going to Angle of Loll process will might be very fast, because that's why it is causing damage.
Correct. It is very fast. एकदम sudden होता है. It is instant. पता नहीं चलता usually Angle of Loll. But these log carriers is a done thing. It's a done thing. I was on one log carrier for 1 year. We used to go to Angle of Loll every voyage. हम हर voyage में होते थे Angle of Loll पे. It was a known thing. Prepared रहते थे हम हमेशा. Used to load logs in Malaysia, Indonesia, all this belt, and discharging used to be Taiwan, China, South Korea, Japan. Permanent run, up and down, time charter था. And हर voyage में load करके निकलते थे. वो उधर आप पहुंचते थे, मनीला क्रॉस करते थे, and उसके बाद ताइवान स्ट्रेट. The moment you enter into Taiwan Strait, एक तो rock and roll शुरू हो जाता था. Dancing used to start, and by the time you reach Taichung and all that belt, that area, You were at angle of Loll. बस हो गया शुरू.
So what was the reason for that?
The reason was that these log carriers basically you load on top also ना on the deck. ऊपर भी load करते हो. So as per the calculations, so your kg goes very high, and these logs they have a very इनकी जो so logs की भी कहानी है पूरी, उस पर रिसर्च कर सकते हो. These logs, there are two types of logs. So you've got two types of logs. Okay. One is called as hollow core, and one is called as solid core. ये solid है, ये hollow है, right? और इसके भी दो टाइप होते हैं. एक कहलाता है फ्लोटर, एक कहलाता है सिंकर. और ये भी फ्लोटर कहलाता है और ये भी सिंकर कहलाता है. अब by the look of it, you can't make out which is a floater and which is a sinker. These guys know it. So sometimes a sinker is loaded on your top deck, and the floater goes into your under deck. As a result, your kg will go very high. So you sail out in a loaded condition with a very low GM. 0.18, 0.19. That's your loaded GM. And at sea, you're consuming your liquids. So slack हो रहा होता है, free surface बढ़ रही होती है. So you were bound to, अगर long sailing होगी और बीच में bad weather आ गया, especially in Taiwan Strait, तो definite है, unknown है. So you're finished. You have to go to an angle of Loll. There's no way. So after I think 3 trips, then it became too much. So then हमने फिर अपना इंडियन जुगाड़ टेक्नोलॉजी लगा दिया. लोडेड कंडीशन में ही डीबी को फुल कर देते थे ताकि केजी को पहले ही लोअर कर दो. That means you're reducing your cargo. But we told the charterers we have to do it. There's no way. Else we are going to jettison cargo at sea. So उसके लिए वो then he was prepared. So that was the only way to do it. So these ships are like that only. So if you get a chance, कभी experience हो. But that was only one time I did that ship. उसके बाद में हाथ जोड़ दिया मैंने कहा ये नहीं करने दोबारा ये जहाज. Okay, chalo. All right. We're done with this. So please do this exercise 19, angle of Loll, question number 1 to 6. Okay. Chalo. See you. Bye.